Hello. So lead in for this intro is going to be a little different than some of the other ones. Ian wanted to bring this up again with some of his issues that he's had with banking here in the Philippines, and I was going to give a little bit of perspective of some of my things that I've seen with banking here in the Philippines. I actually have three separate accounts that I have in the Philippines. I have one, and we're going to name names of banks so that you all know which ones are good and which ones are not, which ones are go-to.
In our opinion.
In our opinion, it's only a single opinion. But I use BDO. Many people have complaints about BDO. The reason I selected BDO is because my major bank in the U.S. is JP Morgan Chase. And to transfer from JP Morgan Chase to BDO is fairly easy to make those transfers. It cost me $40 for a transfer of up to $25,000 US. If I transfer $10, they'll charge me $40. If I transfer $25,000, they charge me $40. So the idea is I always try and build up my funds until I hit $25,000 and then kick it across, and then I go back and I kick it up again and kick it across again. So again, that was why I selected BDO. Particularly what's different over here is you are tied with the local branch office of a bank when it goes through. So yes, BDO is a national chain. Yes, you can use ATM cards at any of the different banking ATM machines, but your transactions and things that you do are going to be based on that local branch office. And the local branch office I use here in Subic is in the SM Central Mall, the BDO office in there. It is extremely busy. Sometimes you have a wait, but it's just simply because there's that many people in there. But it's open, believe it or not, 7 days a week. It is open Monday through Sunday, and it has shorter hours on Sunday, but it is open 7 days a week that you can operate at a bank. I've never even heard of that in the U.S. when it goes through. So a very unusual condition there. My second bank that I have is BPI, Bank of the Philippine Islands, and Marvin just swears by them. He just loves them, swears by them in doing that. And again, as Ian and I have both shared, Marvin has a tremendous amount of knowledge and a long history here in the Philippines telling you what works, doesn't work. So I believe me, I take his advice very seriously when he goes through. But I use BPI, and I use that because I use, again, the branch that I'm at is at Harbor Point, which is within 2 blocks of my current apartment, and I can walk over there and get to the ATM there when I go through. Now that one, unlike the BDO bank, is only open Monday through Friday. It's not even open on Saturday, not even open on Sunday, definitely not open on Sunday, but not even open on Saturday. So that was one. I use it. It is many ways more modern than the BDO bank. In other words, in my BDO bank, I have to have a passbook. I don't know how many of you ever remember carrying a passbook, but you have to walk in, carry a passbook, and they have to stamp it in and out and put the numbers in it and do all that. Whereas the BPI bank is you use an ATM card and it ties to the account, and it's all more Western feeling. It's still the amount of delay that you spend, how much time you spend will stay and cause you an occurrence with that. The third bank that I used was Union Bank, and I used them on the recommendation of my SRRV provider because I had to have an account that I could deposit $10,000 US in order to get my SRRV. So with that, and I don't do anything else with it. I deposited one time into the account. They were very friendly in doing that. Lovely ladies there went through. It's much smaller number of banks, so I don't want to do my SRV in the same bank where I have transactions going in and out. That's my choice. That's just my choice. So with that, I'm going to hand off to Ian, and he's going to tell you about his horror stories, and then I'm going to touch a little bit about why I don't think I had the same issues he did when I came here.
Okay, my experience was much different. I initially made an attempt to get a Philippine bank account from Canada, and it's hard enough to get a bank account when you're in the Philippines, being a foreigner, it's really hard to get a bank account. You have to have all kinds of ID. You have to jump through hoops. You got to be here a year, and et cetera, et cetera. So the one option that was open to me in Canada was a bank called Philippine National Bank, PNB. They have an office in Toronto, and it was represented to me that they could take my information there and set up an account for me, and the account would be waiting for me when I got here. There was a cost involved with that, but I went ahead with it anyway. When I got here, they didn't know who I was. I gave them all the information I had from Canada, and they said, "Oh, we'll open an account for you." So nothing had been done. That was my first disappointment with that bank. That might have been on the Canadian end, so I'll give them a pass on that one. So I finally got my bank account, and it's been a horror story ever since. Mark tells me how long it takes him to do a transaction, and I'm so envious because when I'm waiting hours, he's waiting minutes. Something simple like getting a check. Most things have to be paid for by.
Yeah, what I was going to point, I was going to jump in here just a second and go through. And you might ask, well, why would I care about that? Why would I worry about that? We often have to do what is called a manager's check. It's the same equivalent in the U.S. We'd have a cashier's check. You'd go ahead and get a cashier's check. Same thing in Canada. You'd have it called a cashier's check. Here it's called a manager's check, and the manager has to sign. The manager of that branch has to sign off on that check when they operate to set you up to do a transfer. That way you can take this check physically with you. And specifically where Ian needed it was to pay our bill to go through. So again, if you have an account number, you can make transfers. So anyway, let you go ahead with that. I just wanted to jump in right there and explain what a manager's check was and why you have to do them fairly often here.
So one of the things that set me off initially was I was telling Mark how long it takes to get this bank manager's check. It takes anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. I haven't been out of there in less than an hour just to get a check made out to someone for money that's in my account. I mean, it's something that in Canada would take, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. You're done.
And one more crazy thing I'll point out is when you do this, they're going to ask you, why do you need the money? No. It's my money. Why do you care why I need my money? But you have to tell them.
It goes beyond that. You have to, every time I go in and do anything in the bank, you have a card with a number on it that identifies your account number and all that. You have to have that for any transaction. And if you're making a deposit or a withdrawal, you still have to fill out a withdrawal slip saying your account number. You have your card right there with your name and everything on it.
Write it 3 times maybe, in my case.
You have to fill out who you are, your name, your phone number. It's unbelievable. All that information is already on the card. Then you have to hand them the card and a piece of ID. It makes no sense. So anyway, the thing that really set me off just recently, I needed to pay my rent, something that comes up monthly, and I really didn't have a lot of cash around the house, so I thought it was Monday, and I thought, well, I've got a few days to the end of the month, so I'll go to the ATM, and I needed 60,000 pesos, equivalent of maybe close to 1,500 Canadian. So I wasn't able to take that out in one transaction. So I thought I'll go to the ATM today and I'll go to the ATM tomorrow, 30 and 30, and I'll pay my rent. Well, it didn't go so well. I went there on the Monday, and the ATM had a sign on it saying out of order. This is the ATM right at the branch. And it's not like there's ATMs everywhere. The next one is way out in the Longapo. You'd pretty well need a vehicle to get there.
Now that's one more thing why I bank at BDO. At BDO, there are ATMs everywhere. And at every SM mall, there's a minimum of 4 or 5 BDO ATMs. BPI is also not at SM malls, but it's at Ayala malls, at some of the other named malls, and at other locations and all. So I can go to a BDO or I can go to a BPI, and I don't have to drive more than maybe 5 blocks to find an ATM. So that's another reason why I picked those two. I did that research before I picked a bank.
So anyway, I quickly did the math and thought, well, it's due on Wednesday, so I really should. I'll go into the branch and I'll pull the full 60,000 out in one transaction. Takes a little bit longer, but no big deal. I went in there, filled out the withdrawal slip, all the details that you have to fill out. And like I say, it's crazy because it's all, you have your card. They ask you for your account number every time as you're handing them the card, and it's on the card. I just don't understand that. Anyway, I went in, did all that, handed the lady at the front the withdrawal slip, and noticed for the first time there was quite a crowd in the bank. I'm used to going in there and there's really nobody in there. 20 minutes later, I realized that nobody was being served. Everybody was sitting there. I understand that they were in front of me, but nobody was being served. There was literally 3 tellers there and nobody up front. Everybody sitting there just waiting. I went up and I asked, what is going on? And they said, well, our system is down. I thought it very unusual that when I handed her the withdrawal slip, she didn't mention it at that point. It was just, oh, thank you. It ended up, I was there nearly 2 hours, and no, I did not walk away with any money. I walked out of there thinking I'm going to be here all day, and I ended up coming home empty-handed. That's not the end of the story, because I still had to go back and get money somehow. So I went back on I think it was on the Wednesday, to get money. And what happened on the Wednesday?
You were there, but it just took long. But you got it. My understanding, is that correct? I think you got it, but it was just long.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep. Yes, it did.
It was just. It's the usual long time, and you had to prompt them even at that.
No, that's not exactly. I knew I had a problem. Yeah. Sorry. The problem was I got there at 5 to 9. I thought I'm not going to wait in any lines. Yeah, I'm going to be the first guy in line. 9 o'clock, the doors don't open. There's always a security guard on the outside and a security guard on the inside. And I'm kind of looking at the security guard, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at the door, and he doesn't get the hint. You know, it's 5 after 9. How come the doors aren't opening? I waited till 10 after 9, and then I got up and said to the guard, well, what time do you open? And he says, 9 o'clock, sir. And I said, what time do you have? He says, I think it's about 10 after 9. I said, then you're open? He said, no, sir. I said, well, why don't you open the door? Well, they're having a meeting inside. I don't open it. They open it from the inside. I have to wait for them. So I couldn't blame him. And I waited for about another 5 or 6 minutes, finally got upset and started rapping on the glass front door. I mean, this is my bank. You have my money. I've made 3 attempts now to get money out of here. Ridiculous. Immediately they dispersed. They were all standing in a circle in the center of the bank. Immediately they dispersed. Everybody came, oh, sorry, we lost track of time. So I mean, it's nearly 20 after 9, and I'm just getting into the bank. I can't deal with this bank anymore. So Mark is going to give me the options. He said he'd come over today and tell me the story on the 2 banks that he likes, and I'm going to select one of those.
You weigh one against the other. It's the BDO has. You're going to have a longer wait there simply because it has. You walk in at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. which is when the mall opens up there, you will have 50 people in the bank in there. So if you walk in, you're number 51, and the order doesn't necessarily go in order because they have senior priority. But even though we're seniors, we're not officially seniors here in Philippines. It wouldn't go through. The one other thing I was going to point out was a little bit of why I don't get as upset as Ian does about it and all. I lived for 2 years in India, and India's banking system, believe it or not, is worse than this when it went through. I know that's almost hard to believe, the stories that Ian's telling you and going through. So I learned how to adapt and do that, how to go back and forth. In India, my trick was there at the time, Citibank was still all over the world. So I used to do my transfer of funds into Citibank, and then I'd take a small amount from Citibank and put it into the local Indian bank, and then I just keep replenishing that as I went through. The other thing that I do is I have a large, and I do mean large, I mean about 2 cubic foot size or 3 cubic foot size safe that I have, combination safe that I have. Those of you coming in, expect to have some way to secure and store, and I don't mean staying in a hotel safe and putting it in a hotel safe. I mean, you have your own combination safe. Mine can be, when the house is built, it'll be drilled into the floor, it'll be mounted into the floor, and can be done. But have it there, and you need to have, like I said, I would never have less than $20,000 cash in it. I like this. Well, we have to pay the builder. We have to pay the apartment rent. There's always some government thing that you got to pay this or pay that coming up that you have to pay. So believe me, this is still very much a cash society. You can go to a restaurant, a Western style restaurant, and use a credit card, but that's about the only place you can use a credit card.
That's the apartment that I'm in. We're in right now, actually, my apartment. They don't accept checks. They don't accept credit cards. They don't accept debit. It's cash or transfer. Now, I've had nothing but problems with the transfers, so I have one option, basically.
Now, our builder Ian asked him, he talked about getting a manager check to pay the builder when he was doing it. This time I contacted the builder and I said, how do you want this? Do you want a manager's check or do you want to give me an account number? When Ian had contacted him, he didn't respond back to Ian. So Ian, basically the due date came up. So Ian went and got a check to do that because he go through. Again, it's on the other end, it's Filipino time, right? So our builder, wonderful man, wonderful going through building us, but he doesn't instantly respond back to you. If you text him something, you're probably not going to get an answer back for 24 hours at least when you're doing it, right? So if you're wondering, you don't want to be standing up in front of the bank counter and saying, what's the account number I need to send this to? Because you're not getting an answer from it, right?
Yeah, and half the time the problem is on my end because he needs money and I have to bring it in from Canada because it's a lot of money. I don't keep it here.
Yeah.
So it's half the time my fault.
That's one other thing that Ian's pointing out. I have seen people talk about having your Social Security check or your pension check or whatever it is and have it sent here. Do not do that. Do not stick money in a Philippine bank other than what you need to operate on. Don't make yourself uncomfortably low, but do not put more money than you need. Here's what I learned, because I told you I lived in India. I lived in India, and what happened was we got hit with COVID. I had money in India, in Citibank, and in the other Indian bank. I had 6 hours to get out of the country. So I had no time to be getting release checks, getting an authorization to let me have my money and all this stuff and all to go through and do this. So what I did was instead, I went and took what little there was, because again, I kept just a little amount in the local Indian bank, took that, transferred that into Citibank, left the country. When I left the country, the first stop I made, I think, was in Hong Kong. I went to the Citibank ATM and I sucked out everything I could for the daily limit there. The next stop, I think, was in Frankfurt. I hit there and I sucked out everything in the daily limit when I hit there, right? And then I came back to the U.S. and I sucked it all out. So within a week, I had drained the account So there was, I guess there's like $3 or $4 or something in it, but there's really nothing left in those accounts. Have some way to get your money back out. Now, we talked about the SRV. You're going to plop down $10,000 into an SRV unless you're military retired, in which case it's only $1,500. Great deal for retired military. In my case, I look at that $10,000 as if it's a life insurance policy. It's basically going to stay here. Whoever I have needs to be taken care of here in the Philippines. Here, this money, they're on that.
Because it's refundable on death.
It's refundable on death, and it'll go to that person. So it's almost like pre-buying a life insurance policy. Right. So again, I don't regard that money. To me is gone. It's vapor. I don't ever intend for me to get it and take it back to the U.S. or in Ian's case to Canada. It'll stay here.
Yeah, I just want to say that the reason why I'm speaking out on my experience with PNB is just so that other people won't have to go through the same thing that I went through. The people there are amazing, particularly the bank manager here in SBMA. He's amazing, but he's stuck with the systems that he has. I mean, some of the things are just absolutely ridiculous, and it actually costs them time for no reason. I still don't understand asking for my name. They all know who I am. I have my card, and they ask for my card every time, and they ask for ID every time.
3 signatures,
and then you have to fill out the forms. It makes no sense.
Now, I will say one thing about the lady that's the manager at BDO. One of the reasons I love BDO is the lady manager there. She looks out for my interest because to them, we're transferring huge sums of money that they're not used to seeing, right? I mean, what's transferring in? Because we're transferring in to pay many millions of pesos for a house when we're doing this build. And when she knows the transfer is coming across, I'll let her know the day ahead of time. I said, I'm transferring this in, should show up in about a day or two. Because in the case of BDO, it shows up in the Makati branch in BDO in Manila, and then she has to give an authorization for it to be transferred here to the local branch here. Again, like I said, it seems bizarre that you have these local branches and all to go through, but you do.
It's probably anti-money laundering rules or something to do.
Well, I don't know. Again, there's a great one going through. The former Prime Minister of Singapore went through and quoted that in 1962, or when they were starting off and all, the Philippines and Singapore were roughly at economic parity when they went through for their citizens. Today, the citizens of Singapore, they live like millionaires compared to everyone else in Asia went through. And the reason why is banking. They are the bankers of Asia. And they basically took over that role from Hong Kong because the CCP basically wrecked banking in Hong Kong. Previous to that, the transactions were done in Hong Kong because you could transfer from China to there, back and forth, different things. But CCP has just destroyed the banking in Hong Kong, so that Singapore has now taken over that role in that slot. So you have countries like Singapore and Taiwan that do marvelously, and you have countries like India and Philippines that are at the bottom of the list when they go through. And I may get in trouble for saying things when I go through, but the banking systems here are not up to date and not adequate to perform. So protect yourself. That's all we're telling you.
I think the banks are probably sitting 30 years behind in Canada. I remember actually even in the early 90s, having a passbook and everything was computerized. Nothing is computerized here. It's all paper.
Well, but okay, it's computerized, but they still rely on paper. So it's like like a duplicate. There's like duplicate accounting systems going on at the same time. Yeah. So it's like it's like they've went to computerization. They just don't trust it. That's fair. That's fair. Well, with that, I think we'll get on with the rest of the video. We've been rather long with this, but it was something that was on Ian's mind, and I think it's an important topic to bring up for any of you that are coming here, because you're going to have to bank here. like these videos, please give me a like. And if you want to send comments, comments are always welcome. I'll look for improvements and how I can make myself better. If you do subscribe, you'll be able to get next in line when the next video is coming back out again. Don't want to record that on the camera.
That's an interesting tree there. It looks like some sort of fruit growing on it. See it?
Yeah.
Is that leaves or is that's fruit of some sort?
Don't know. We had what we called a date palm in Florida. It looked kind of like that. If it's a date palm,
what's that?
they grow spikes.
Those pouches hanging down. It's some sort of fruit.
It's if it's the date palms that we had there, yeah. It's the seedlings to make new ones when it went through and did it, if it's in there. But the thing that you got to watch about it is they got spikes like that long.
Yep.
And I mean, man, it gets you through your head and gore you.
You're poured. You're fully poured.
No, I got steel plate.
Oh no. Okay. Okay, you're right. Yeah, it isn't poured. Hanging.
Yep. That poor old tree is about had it now.
Yep. Well, it's going anyway, no matter what. Ah, there's Andy. There's Andy.
Treats up in the trunk of the car.
Good morning, Andy.
Get your workout up that hill.
Yeah, it's easy going down that hill, but you really feel it coming up, don't you?
Yeah. For me, it's in my thigh.
I lay on the left side all the time.
You know, talking about that, it's funny. When I was back in the U.S., I had this left elbow, was getting kind of arthritic and all, because I was sleeping like this with my arm out, right? Yeah. And I come here and I changed position, and no more problem, went away. You know, it's like, okay. Yeah. Yeah, he's getting a little frustrated. So, yeah. So, I think you need to. Yeah. We were debating about that. He asked when I started, and I said, well, I arrived June 9th, and we signed within 2 weeks after I was here, and then they did the first load of rebar the week after that. So, puts me right the last week of June.
Yeah.
When I started. So.
Morning. What's that?
Good. Why did you concentrate on this one? Huh?
I don't know.
Oh, they did dig all that out, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, whatever that was, they dug it all out. Now it's.
Where? No,
so it comes out here.
Septic tank is here, right there.
Yeah. Don't know.
I just think 1,000 because someone was there, goes through the concrete outside. Moving in on Monday. Still promised him he'd have water. Because they've all disappeared for All Souls Day, haven't they?
Yeah, it's looking pretty light, isn't it? So I knew they were going to be gone tomorrow, but
yeah.
I think the only way he's going to get water is if it's delivered.
Well, he's got water, but his meter. But
They got to move it, right?
Got the tank, got the pump.
Ah, all the internal stuff. Okay.
Got his filters. He haven't installed it. It's over there.
Yeah.
I thought he was a builder.
No, retired Marine. Been here for years and years and years, and
Yeah.
worked on the base, and then lived in Australia for a bit, and then
Marvin.
back here.
Yeah.
So
What's his name?
Marvin.
Oh. First time I've really spoke to him.
yeah, he was.
He's got a spectacular house. His house is huge. It
Yeah.
doesn't
No.
look big
Oh no, it does.
from the out. Well, it looks big from the outside, but you get inside and it looks way bigger.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, he really.
Yeah, he had an
really went
interesting,
all out.
interesting career in the Marines. He was submarine security for the nukes.
Really?
Yeah.
We're all taking over in North America. One Brit, one Welsh, American.
We got it. We got a nice United
Welsh
Nations
guy's
here,
got a
right?
Brit too.
Yeah, he's sort of.
Sort of. I'm Scottish.
Yeah,
I consider myself a Brit.
I'm half Scottish, the waist down at the back.
Yeah, I was
Are you
12.
Yeah, I'm filming. You're on camera.
Morning.
UK.
Sorry to all the jocks out there.
I don't know if we've introduced it. This is Andy, our neighbor.
Neighbor here.
Right. That owns
Yep,
that
yep.
home right there.
He's on my old videos. I've got the biggest views I've got like over 1,000 views of the aircraft carrier, and that was shot from that deck right up there where we're looking right out in the bay there when they were there doing. Yeah, I've got nothing that's even come close to that many views.
Here comes the rain.
Yeah,
It won't last long.
Yep.
It won't last long.
Careful.
Oh,
Sorry.
no problem.
You a day early.
Yeah, they're going to be closed. They're going to be off tomorrow. So
Yeah. And then the back. Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
I'm not sure they're going to be back Saturday. Something tells me they're not going to be back here Saturday. Well, that would be nice if they gave them 2 days off. I don't think they do as much on a Saturday anyway. It's not a full crew, I don't think.
Just sort of stuff before.
Yeah, I don't know. There's probably a logical reason for it. And I mean, I went over the numbers, and due to be complete around the beginning of March. Yeah.
June.
July, August.
June or July.
I'm thinking summer.
Yeah.
I mean, had I known, I would have had my wife come a little bit later, because part of the reason for her coming was to pick out things like tiles and cabinets. I'm really uncomfortable with me picking stuff out because I'm a guy, and I have
And you want peaceful life.
Well, not just that. I have no idea what I'm doing. She's got a better eye in almost every respect when it comes to that
Well,
stuff.
everything was left to me. You either said yes or no. No idea.
And if she said no,
Disgusting.
we discussed it. Yeah,
Rather than- no, not quite.
I know.
No.
the only one that gets me is the interiors here that have that. You see it all over, that lime green interior that's in here in kitchen. Oh my God! I
Lime green?
like make me sick.
Cabinets, doors, but
Yeah.
it's not a line.
Yeah, no, it's that ultra bright lime green. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
It's the
Well, it's
camouflage, the
fine.
mold.
Yeah.
See you, Andy. Did they get the cooler?
I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
Oh, maybe they did. Yeah.
I see some
got
bags.
It. Okay. Got it. Okay. Hi, pup. Getting bigger.
Yeah, the real guard dog now. Woof, woof.
Hello. How are you? You're quite welcome.
Want to scoot up there?
How are you?
Right there.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, I guess we're partway through some mud here. Yeah, I don't know why that hole's there. Plumbing must be.
Well, it must be some kind of an accumulation point to go out to the septic.
Yeah, but you would think they would do that first. Right?
I don't know.
Not an after.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
There's probably a reason why not. Just not privy to it.
Well, call it a day.
Yeah,
You got any more that you want to see?
not really. Let's get down here before he starts up the excavator.